Well, here we are. I honestly wasn't planning on streaming tonight. At least I wasn't planning on streaming college football tonight. I was kind of kicking around the idea of streaming maybe Gran Turismo or something like that, just for fun, and I may still do that later. But then the news broke. Big news out of college football today, at least for SEC fans. Brian Kelly is gone. He is out of here of LSU. So big change. I think a lot of people expected something to happen after last night's performance against Texas A&M. It was just not a good look for LSU at all. And I know a lot of people have been calling for Brian Kelly's head basically for a while now, and they got it. So here we are. So yeah, I'm gonna pop on some college football 26. I've got LSU and Texas A&M queued up, of course, because why not? And I'll just do a little gameplay in the background while I just kind of chat about uh, what happened in LSU in general. And it's kind of, you see my shirt too. It's kind of tough being a Louisiana football fan these days right now, but it is what it is. And I've certainly been through worse. It may not seem like it right now to some fans. Some fans like, what are you talking about? You've seen worse. Oh yeah, trust me, it can get worse. Believe me, I've been through the Saints era with Mike Ditka making that crazy trade for Ricky Williams and making everybody believe that we're just one running back away from a championship contender. That's all we need is Ricky Williams. And we trade the whole draft away for one player. And keep in mind, at the time, their quarterback room consisted of Billy Joe Hobart, Billy Joe Tolliver, and Danny Werfel. That was the quarterback room. But hey, all we need is a running back, and we're good to go. So yeah, I've seen some rough days for sure, and then in LSU too. If we're gonna stick with the topic on college football, the Curly Hallman days and Jerry DiNardo days. Those were some thin days at LSU as well back then. Just finishing the season in the top 25 was an accomplishment. I mean, seriously, like that's how lean those days were. We finished the season and we ended up in the top 25. Hey, we did something. We're in the top 25. So, uh, long cry from those days. But anyway, let me go and get the gameplay up. There we go. I'm gonna be on here, and I'll just leave myself on there, I guess, for now. But yeah, so I've got LSU lined up, and oops, uh-oh, I had LSU lined up. I hit the wrong button. Hang on. Well, LSU back up. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? There they are. So LSU, of course, in their home uniforms, the white jerseys, which honestly I'm not a huge fan of. I actually prefer the purple jerseys. But one thing, for some reason, I don't like about College Football 26 is that they don't have it set to change. Like when you have a team like LSU that uses white for their homes, they don't have it set for the other team to wear their home jerseys. So watch, I'm gonna pull up A&M here, and it's got them in their white away uniforms because technically LSU's on home uniforms, even though it's a white jersey. So just by default, it pulls up their away jersey, which is going to be white and white, and that don't happen. So I remember last year in college football 25, I forget exactly how it was listed, but it worked properly where LSU, would be in their whites for their home, and then it would default to, the other team to the home jerseys. So I don't know why they haven't fixed that yet in college football 26. But come on, EA, get on that. That's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like that. But anyway, all right, we'll get into the game here, and I think I've got game volume on. It was a night game. We'll do that. Might have to turn the volume down a little bit. Let's see. See how it goes. This is all impromptu tonight. Yeah. Let me turn that down just a little bit. There we go. LSU Death Valley. So it might bring me down a little bit to there and there. There we go. Let's do that. That looks good, I guess. We'll roll with that. So yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks for LSU fans for sure. Um, it's just it's a lot of little things. I think there's not one key thing you could pin it on. Obviously, it all rolls back to the head coach. The head coach ultimately is the man that's in charge of everything, so it all falls on him, which is why we saw that change happen today. Um, One thing I'll say about that is, you know, say goodbye to the NIL money for the next 5 years, right? Because that was a $53 million buyout, something like that. 53, $54 million buyout. Now they're going to do it in installments, and I'm sure they're working on whatever the details are on how they're going to pay that out. But if I'm to give you an idea, they when they bought out Coach O's contract a few years back, they owed him 17 million, and they like just finished paying that off this past July because that was installments also. So they might be paying Brian Kelly for a long time here, and I know you could say, well, you get help from the boosters and all. Well, where do you think the NIL money comes from? It's coming from the boosters too. So yeah, the NIL funds might be rather lean here for the next few years for LSU, but they felt it was necessary, so you know change was made. There definitely needed to be a change for sure, and Brian Kelly, taking it again. He's the head coach, so he rightfully so. He's the fall guy for all of that. It's ultimately falls on him, his responsibility. But that contract was such a hindrance. I think it was 10 years when they signed him, a 10-year guaranteed contract, 100 million, something crazy. You don't do that. Don't. No. No, don't do that. So, in a way LSU kind of did it to themselves with that contract was just horrible. Oy, not an option quarterback. But it's done now. The deed's done. Interim coach, and now names are flying about who's to be the next head coach. I don't know. A lot of names are being thrown up. Um, Nick Saban's one, of course. Yeah, of course I can mention Nick Saban. That's. I don't see that happening. I think that's very much wishful thinking. He's retired. He's very much happy being retired. And you got to remember too, he retired for a reason, largely in due to the whole NIL situation, and that really hasn't changed since he's retired. So I don't see him coming back. Um, with none of that being any different than it was just a couple years ago when he retired. Um, so yeah, I don't see Nick Saban happening. It would be interesting. It would certainly satisfy a lot of fans. It would get people excited about the program again, and to have Nick Saban come back to kind of where it all started. Yeah, he was a head coach before that at Michigan State, but his legacy, as I guess you could say, really started at LSU with that first national championship. So that would be a cool way to bookend his career for sure, but it ain't happening. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing that happening. Lane Kiffin is a name that a lot of people are throwing around. I don't see that happening either, to be perfectly honest with you. Um, and I don't know that I want him to be honest, to be honest with you either. I don't know. Something about Lane Kiffin has always rubbed me the wrong way. Something about him just don't. He reminds me of this generation Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier was one of those guys that just always rubbed me the wrong way. Being a longtime LSU fan back when he was at Florida, just kind of that smug. I don't know, something about him. Can't necessarily place a finger on it, but I don't know that I'd want him. even if he was interested. If I know his name got tossed around for Florida too. I don't know if I don't see him leaving for Florida. I don't see that being a good situation. LSU might be a better situation where he would consider it, but I personally I think he's pretty happy at Ole Miss. And you got to oh gosh, yeah, now I'm looking like LSU, aren't I? You got to look at expectations too. Expectations at LSU are very, very high. Case in point, Brian Kelly on his fourth year. He's only barely 4 years in, and if you look at his winning percentage overall, it's not bad. He's won set like 71% of his games since he's been at LSU. Um, it's more than just the wins and losses though with LSU. And yes, some of the fans are spoiled. Yeah, I'm looking just like LSU now. Um, can't stop those mobile quarterbacks. But Lane Kiffin is in a spot at Ole Miss where he's comfortable. He can pretty much kind of do no wrong there right now at this point in his career. He's pretty much set there. Um, they're happy with him. They're not, they're not looking to run him out. Um, if he comes to LSU, all of that changes. All of that changes. And all of a sudden, it's, at LSU, it's, hey, national championship or bust. And you've got 3, maybe 4 years to get it done. That's the expectations. Right or wrong, that's how it is around here right now. And yeah, some of that is because, Brian Kelly wasn't wrong when he said you guys are spoiled. LSU fans are absolutely spoiled. You go back to, Nick Saban, national championship in his fourth year. Les Miles, national championship in his third year, and then a couple years after that, another national championship appearance. We didn't win that one, but you know, got us back to the big game a couple years later. And then Coach O steps in, third year, national championship. So expectations over the last 20 plus years have grown tremendously at LSU, and that's what they expect right now. Is it fair? No, it's not necessarily fair, but that's what it is. And if you're a head coach coming into LSU to this situation, you're going to have to be aware of that and try and figure out, is it worth leaving where you're at to step into something like this? Um, for Lane Kiffin, I don't think it is. If I'm being honest with you, I think the smart move for Lane Kiffin is to stay where he's at. Um, you could be looking at now. If they're going to pay you $53 million to sit at home and not coach, you know, um, that's what Brian Kelly's getting. So I guess that's one way to look at it. But I don't think LSU is going to be giving out another contract like that to whoever comes in. I could be wrong. You never know. People have done dumber things before. But yeah, I think it would be in Lane Kiffin's best interest to stay where he's at, just because of those expectations, especially at LSU, especially at LSU right now. They're so high. And going back to Brian Kelly and what went wrong there, I don't know, it never felt like a good fit from the start. There was just something off about that match. Um, it, he didn't have, I don't know, it's like he didn't have his finger on the pulse of the culture here. The fan base, he just kind of felt a little out of touch from day one. And underperforming, his teams, he's recruited well. LSU's got talent all over the roster, but they're just underperforming. And this Texas A&M game, you know, kind of the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back here. They came out and played hard in the first half. They looked like, hey, finally they're finally turning a corner. They're finally getting things together because it's been off all season. Just something's been off about them all season long, and it looked like maybe they're finally getting it together. And then the second half, just they completely fell apart. Just total collapse in the second half. And you know, again, it's more than just wins and losses because had LSU lost to Texas A&M, but if they had played them hard the whole game, and we're looking at, a 3 point difference where LSU had them, but maybe A&M kicks a game-winning field goal with 3 seconds left, or it goes into overtime or double overtime, and it's a close, hard-fought game, and LSU was almost there, but it would have been progress, and it's okay. We made progress. We played hard against a top-ranked opponent. The team looked better than they've looked all year long. That would have been one thing, but that's not what happened. And so you see the result. Um, it was ugly. It was an ugly, ugly game in the second half, and to have the stadium basically empty out in the fourth quarter on a Saturday night at LSU is that's embarrassing, downright embarrassing. Ooh, not what I wanted. And it wasn't just that game, but again, that was kind of the final straw. Um, you know, some of the other games that they lost, and just the way they've been playing. Again, it's so frustrating. The talent is there. That was one of the problems. One of the problems I think I was talking about, in past situations, like with the Jerry DiNardo era and Curly Hallman and all that type of stuff back in the 90s, 80s and 90s. They didn't have the talent. They didn't have the top talent, and that was one of the problems. They weren't able to bring those top guys in, and they had some talent. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they didn't have any talent. They were getting some good guys. Tommy Hodson was an outstanding quarterback for LSU. Uh, I mean, when he was playing, he set SEC records. So we're talking about really really good quarterback that LSU had for a while. He had a couple players around him that were really good too, but they didn't have they weren't able to put a whole roster together. You would have a couple of really good players. Yeah, I'll get in there anyway. You'd have a couple of really good players. Eddie Kennison was a really good wide receiver. Um, you know, and Dalton Hilliard was a good running back then in the day, and a couple of years later they had Kevin Falk was an amazing running back. But they could never put together a whole full roster of talent. It was just sprinkled with a guy here and there throughout the years, and not being able to bring in the top talent. I always said, if they would have been able to get Peyton Manning when he came out and match him with Kevin Falk, man, and then Marshall Falk was another local talent that they let get out of the state. So, imagine Marshall Falk, Kevin Falk, Peyton Manning, um, shoots. Who was the other guy? Was it Reggie Wayne? Some of those guys that were in-state talent that left to go to other schools out of state. Had LSU been able to keep those guys in state and bring those top guys to LSU, we're talking about a totally different football team in the 90s and early 2000s before Saban gets there. Um, so, you know, it was different then, now, because of Saban and then the continued success that Les Miles had while he was there. He was there for I think 11 years, something like that. And I mean, he averaged over I think just over 10 wins a season the whole time he was there. And the wheels came off there at the end of his career, obviously, the end of his run at LSU. But for those first several years, man, he was fired on all cylinders, and LSU was again bringing in top recruits, top recruiting class, excuse me, recruiting classes, and that's continued. So one thing LSU has been able to do continually has been to recruit very well. They've continued to have good recruiting classes, top recruiting classes year in and year out, and so I mean that means the talent's there. It's just they're just underperforming, and saw that a little bit there with Coach O's last year. That's why Coach O got ran out. And I've seen his name pop up too. For bring Coach O back. Like, man, dude, they just finished paying him off from it the last time they had him. Um, ooh, get off, get off. Yeah, they just finished paying him off, man. I'm gonna hire him back. That would be hilarious. But no, Coach O was always a temporary solution for LSU. I don't think they ever intended for him to be the guy. And then, oops, he kind of fell into winning a national championship there, and they're like, oh, okay, I guess we're stuck with him now. Um, so I don't want to make it sound like he didn't, accidentally win a national championship, but I think certainly no one was expecting him to have a team that was that good, where just the stars aligned perfectly, and you had the right coordinators at the right time with the right talent at the right time, and I mean it was really lightning in a bottle. It's just one of those situations where you can never predict when something like that's going to happen, and it just so happened to happen right then, and he was a head coach at the time, so yeah, um, no one was expecting that, but no, they're not bringing Coach O back. Not as a head coach, at least. Yeah, he might come back as like an O line coach or something, but nah, nah, he's not coming back. Lost my train of thought on that one, but yeah, but yeah, the talent. That's what I was talking about. The talent's there. They've got the talent. Oh, ouch. It's just a matter of the coaches they're not getting they're not getting it out of the players, and I don't know what's going on behind the scenes to cause that, but they don't have the right culture, they don't have the right attitude. One of the things Brian Kelly did when he got there was he got rid of, and gosh, I'm trying to think of his name, Tommy Moffitt, I believe, strength and conditioning coach. I think he's at A&M now. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. Um, I know, sometimes you want to bring your own guys in, but I mean, he's one of the best there is. Period. Flat out in the nation. You don't get rid of a guy like that. I don't care. I don't care if he was somebody else's hire or not. You don't get rid of that. You surround yourself. If you want to be successful, you surround yourself with people who are better than you. And Brian Kelly did not do that. So that was, I think that was part of the problem. The offenses just looked horrible. Offense coordinator Sloan not getting it done. Um, I don't know what his love affair with wide receiver screens is, but oh my God, stop with the wide receiver screens. Um, oh, pick it up, pick it up. There you go, get in there. Here you go, Perkins. That's what I'm talking about. LSU used to be a force on defense, man. And again, they looked good in the first half last night. They looked really good in the first half. They played well. They gave up a few things here and there, but man, the team as a whole really they had some fight in them. They came out and they looked like they wanted it probably for the first time all season long, with the exception of maybe the Clemson game. They looked really good against Clemson, but then the way Clemson's been playing lately, that's looking less and less impressive now. But I don't know. I don't know how that switch happens at halftime where they just fell apart so quickly. I don't know. Speaking of Clemson, Dabo Sweeney's one guy that people have been talking about. That's one name that's popped up. Um, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I don't know. He had a good run at Clemson there for a few years where he was top dog, but last couple of years he's it's fallen off, and you got to wonder why that is. And I know he's come out and been openly against the NIL process, which I mean I feel you. Don't get me wrong. I think the NIL is definitely out of control right now. It is college football is not in a good place with the NIL right now. Gosh, who could have foreseen that happening? I mean, come on, Ray Charles could have seen that happening. But yeah, I mean, you gotta play, you gotta compete. So if Clemson's really I mean, they're the top dog in their conference, especially after what he's built there, and he's not able to stay on top there. What are you gonna do if you come to LSU? I mean, SEC's, you know, you're not gonna be top dog. You've got some competition here with recruiting. So yeah, I don't know. Let's do all goats. Try to get in the end zone here. Yeah, they're playing back. Okay, here. No. So yeah, that's LSU football right now is. Uh, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Hurry up. Boom. That's how you do it. Take note, LSU. So, hey, I'm available for offensive coordinator, by the way. Right. I'll gladly take. I'll take a nice friendly contract too. Do that job. Very budget friendly. I'll take what, like 2 million, man. I'll be good with that. $2 million contract? Absolutely. Sign me up. I'll do it. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Halftime. Stay hydrated. I don't know, man. Um, Seen Lincoln Riley's name mentioned. I don't know how I feel about that one either. Um, I don't know. I don't know who they're gonna get. The coaching search right now looks not great. They have to get somebody though. And you got to wonder about the contract details. Who you're gonna pull? How are you gonna pull them? If you're gonna pull someone from another team, what kind of incentives you're looking at while you're paying off Brian Kelly 53 million dollars. That's a lot of money, man. A lot of money. Ooh. Oh. Oh, wrong guy. It's right about selecting like the closest player. It doesn't always select the one I expect it to. Yeah. And then Nussmeyer's been hurt all year. He's been off all year long. And I wonder how much of that is was the coaching staff and how much of that was him being stubborn and just wanting to get out there because this, he's a fifth year senior, so I get it. From a player's perspective, you want to be out there, you want to believe you can fight through it. It was just a little bit of pain, numb it. I can deal with it. I definitely I get it, but it obviously wasn't a good decision. It wasn't the best decision for the team. That was obvious, I think. Um, and ultimately, it comes down to the coaching staff. It's the coaches that have final say on any of that type of stuff. So, as a quarterback and team captain, you can say, "Hey, I want to play, I want to play, I want to play," all you want. But at the end of the day, it's up to the coaching staff to sit there and go, "Look, you're not 100%. you're not where you need to be. You're, you know, we need you at 100%. So let's sit this one out, get you healthy, and then we'll bring you back in. And they didn't do that. I mean, they even came out and said there's no injury. I saw video of Brian Kelly talking to the press before the season started, and there were rumors that Nussmeier was dealing with an injury, and he flat out said there's no injury. He's not injured. He's just dealing with tendonitis. That's all it is, and we're just limiting him in practice, and he'll be fine. I mean, those were his words. That was a lie. And then it was, oh, it's a minor injury, but it's nothing major. And then it went from that to was an abdominal tear, and then I mean it just is like it seemed like every week there was a different story of what's going on with him, and it kept you know progressively got worse and worse. And like, oh well, he'll be fine. We're going to limit him this practice, but he'll be fine by the end of the week. And this was for I think the Southeastern game. I mean, they were playing Southeastern Louisiana, and then they had a bye week the following week when they were finally like, oh yeah, he does have an abdominal injury he's been dealing with all camp. This was they came out and said it was all camp. He's been dealing with it. So clearly you lied. But on top of that, you went ahead and put him out there anyway against Southeastern Louisiana, a game he had no business playing in that game. Talk about it, an FCS team that LSU, you can put your backups in and roll over this team. There was no reason for Nussmeier to play that game. Sit him down, let him rest that week, and then you had a bye week the week after that, and get him healthy. But they didn't do that. So just all kinds of bad decisions from the coaching staff, from the top. I have no idea what's going to happen here in the future. You know, uh, I'm sure they're going to do their due diligence looking for a candidate, but man, felt like they were supposed to have done that the last time, and then that didn't work out. And I know fans are impatient and they want to win now. They want it now. It doesn't always happen that way. And I would have said, yeah, it's time to move on from Brian Kelly also. But man, that contract, that's the one thing I worry about is how much is that going to hurt the program as a whole, having to pay out that contract over the next however many years. Um, Man, and again, they did it themselves. No one to blame but themselves. Well, they sure ran that cat more often last night, right there. He looked good in the first half, and then they just. That's how you do it. Spread it around. Go deep, go short, ins and outs, slants, screens. Mix in some running plays. Ooh. I didn't set my pass protection on this though. Usually set it to that default. Come on, come on. There we go. No, LSU just wants to do wide receiver screen. Run the ball for 1 yard. Wide receiver screen. Punt. Nope. See, that's why you don't run option with Garrett Nussmeier. Exactly why. Not an option quarterback. You know, I'm going to go for it. I don't want to go for it. Ooh. Like that. That's how you do it. Easier said than done, I know. I know. Just a video game. I know. Well, I'll tell you what. The Saints. Well, they had a couple of. Well, they had one really good goal line stand. They almost had two real good goal line stands today against the Bucks. Four straight plays from the 1 yard line. Stonewalled them. Every single play. That was a sight to see. And then Rattler ends up 2 plays later throws an interception that gets pick six for a touchdown. Mm. And they almost had another one later in the game too. They had another goal line stand. The Bucks finally got it in on 4th down on that one. Oof. But they almost had. They had to work for that one though. They had to work for that one. Saints are in hard times too right now. But hey, it's I mean it's a rebuild year. You got a rookie head coach, young and experienced quarterbacks. You know, it's gonna be rough this year. I think anybody expecting anything different was fooling themselves. You know, if you're a Saints fan, it's not like the LSU situation. These are two completely different situations. The LSU situation, you've got the talent, you've got the experience, you've got a 5th-year senior quarterback, you've got, you know, on LSU, you've got the talent on defense, you've got the talent on offense. The pieces are there. Um, with the Saints, that ain't the case. You don't have the experienced quarterback. You don't have the talent on the roster. It's something you still have to build. So many drop passes. Oh my gosh. You don't really have a true wide receiver number one. Um, yeah, it's rough, man. But I expected that. I expected it to be a rough year. I think if they were going to pull out anything different, that would have been a pleasant surprise. Um, this could be a rough year, just how it is. I think the disappointing thing though is that the with the Saints is the offense has just looked so discombobulated all season, out of sync, and that's concerning when your head coach is supposed to be an offensive guy. He's that's his thing. That's why we hired him. He's an offensive mind. He's offensive coordinator. He's supposed to be, this guy that can work with different quarterbacks and get the best out of them. He's done that in the past. And then you bring him in here, and the offense just looks so out of sync. That's the concerning part for Saints fans, I think. Um, yeah, maybe running out the clock here. Yeah, slow down a little bit. Slow my tempo down. So, yeah, they made a change at quarterback today. They pulled Rattler out and put in Tyler Shuck. He looked okay. He didn't light anything up, but at the same time, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything horrible that made you go, "Oh my God, why is he in there?" He had one interception, which to me shouldn't have even been labeled an interception. That was all on the receiver. Yeah, he threw it behind him a little bit, but look, this is the NFL. Wide receivers make those NFL wide receivers make those catches all the time. It wasn't that far behind him. Um, hit him in the hands. He has to make that catch and not let the defender rip it away from him, which is exactly what happened. I mean, that was more in my mind. That was more of a fumble than an interception. Um, so I don't put that one on Tyler there, but he made some quick decisions. He looked pretty poised in the pocket. The offense seemed to be running in rhythm. They were completely out of sync in that first half when Rattler was in there. They looked rattled when Rattler was in there. Um, when Shuck got in there, they did look a little more in sync to some degree at least. Uh, they moved the ball a little bit. So his passes for a guy that one, he's a rookie. Keep in mind Rattler was with the team last year, so his rookie year was last year. So he's got even even if you're talking about just being a camp arm in practice or scout team, he's got a year behind him. Um, whereas Tyler Shuck, this is his first go around. So so for a guy who's a rookie that hasn't been practicing with the starters because backups don't practice with the starters in the NFL. Backup quarterbacks don't. Um, for someone who hasn't had any work with the starters, he looked pretty good working with them. The timing seemed pretty good. His throws were on target for the most part. Um, I thought he looked pretty good. Again, nothing that jumped out at you that said he's so much better than the other guy, but I thought he looked solid for his first time out. And I guess we'll see what Kellen Moore wants to do, if he wants to keep riding Shuck or if he's going to go back to Rattler and have this as kind of a warning game to him, because those turnovers are, you can't have that. Can't have those turnovers like that. Got to take care of the ball. We'll see. All right, that's a better outcome. That's more like it. That's what we want to see. That's what LSU fans like to see right there. There it is. That's better. All right. Well, I guess that's all my thoughts on the LSU situation and Brian Kelly and all that type of stuff. Uh, Not much else to say on that, I guess. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't expecting to play this tonight, and then that news popped up, and I was like, well, let me get on and I'll at least share some thoughts about it. We'll see how things shake out. I don't know. Interesting days for LSU fans for sure. It's rough times for us Louisiana football guys, but it'll get better. It has to get better. I hope it gets better. I'm sure it will. All right. Well, if you've been watching this during all this time, thanks for watching. If you're watching this after the fact, that's cool too. Thanks for watching. Um, Not sure if I'm gonna throw this one up on my YouTube channel or not, but yeah, like and subscribe to both my Twitch channels and my YouTube. I'm streaming live on Twitch and posting videos up on YouTube the following week. So if you're feeling bad about Louisiana football, I've got something for you. I have got a Louisiana High School Football Championship Series that I'm running right now. I'm in the middle of it right now on Twitch. These are my teams. I've got 8 Louisiana high school football teams, and we are doing a full season with them. We're going to crown ourselves a champion. Team builder teams that I've made for College Football 26. They're all available for download, by the way. Just search my username down there at the bottom, Dreadman94, and you can download any one of these teams and play them in your College Football 26 video game, or download all 8 of them, play all 8 of them. Each team features 5 different uniform options and custom rosters featuring all those authentic Cajun names on for the players on there. They all feature actual former players for some of these teams. But yeah, just make sure when you're downloading that when you're searching for the username search box and not the keyword search box, and it'll pull it right up. But we are in um, we just finished week 3. So we're entering week 4 right now. I stream these games live on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday night. And then those games will eventually get cut up and uploaded to my YouTube channel the following Wednesday. So YouTube's about a week behind, but you can catch all the action that way if you subscribe to both Twitch and YouTube. You don't miss any of the action. But yeah, do that and check that out. And this is all impromptu. I'm just right off the cuff here. So I think that'll do it for my College Football 26 impromptu stream. I think what I might do, I might go ahead and do some Gran Turismo here in just a minute. So I'll probably hop off and I'll probably end the stream and then change the info. That way I've got the new game information there in the title and everything, and just start a new stream after this. And I'll pop in some Gran Turismo here in a little bit. So stay tuned for that if you're into that kind of thing. If not, that's fine. Go check out my games, man. I got some high school games. We're doing CPU versus CPU slow sim games. And again, it's the 8 high school football teams, and we've had some exciting games so far. We've had some close games. Had a game went to 4 overtimes. I had a game that was a 1-point game. We've had kick returns for touchdown. We had punt return for a touchdown. We had some big pass plays, some big run plays, some close games, some upsets. Things are been pretty exciting. Week 3 was a rain week for us, so we had a storm system come through. All the games had rainy weather for that one, so that was interesting to see how that turned out. And then we're going into week 4 right now. So Tuesday we're going to kick off week 4, and we've got a 7-game schedule set up for all the teams. And then once that's done, we'll go into a playoff mode, and we're gonna, like I said, pick ourselves a champion for that. And then once that's done, I'm probably going to do a similar series with some college teams that I've made as well, but we'll see how that goes. But anyway, all right, cool. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna end this one here, and then I'll probably be back in a few minutes, and we'll pop in some Gran Turismo 7 and give that a go and see how that does. So, all right. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all in a little bit.